So you've heard about the health benefits of a keto diet for people, and now you're wondering, should I switch my dog to a keto diet? You're in the right place. In this video, we're going to talk about whether the keto diet is appropriate for dogs. We're going to see the specific health benefits for dogs. We're going to see how to formulate the keto diet, and finally, what the appropriate sources of fat are. If you're interested in natural nutrition and you want to integrate a holistic approach to your dog and cat's health, then you're in the right place. This is exactly the channel for you. Please subscribe and check us out on Facebook and Instagram as well. All right, let's get into today's video. What is a keto diet for dogs, and should you be feeding this to your dog? A ketogenic diet is a diet that is low in carbohydrates and high in fat. We already saw that dogs' diets require higher amounts of fat. And if you missed that video, I'm going to link it for you over here. The single most important reason why you should feed a keto diet to your dog is that in dogs, it can help prevent, slow down, and even cure cancer. Cancer cells are just normal cells that, because of a defect in their DNA, cannot stop reproducing. They reproduce very, very quickly, and they form masses of crazy reproducing cells that we call cancers. Because of this reproduction, they require a lot more energy than normal cells. And this is where the keto diet comes in. So cells get energy by taking molecules of glucose and turning them into molecules of energy, ATP. There are two pathways, so basically two ways that cells can use to produce ATP. The short one will take one molecule of glucose and will turn it into 2 ATP energy molecules. The long one will take one molecule of glucose and it will produce 36 ATP energy molecules. Clearly, this one is a lot more efficient. How are cancer cells different from normal cells? Cancer cells can only use the shorter pathway. From one glucose, they can only produce 2 ATP energy molecules. Now, because of their rapid reproduction, they need a lot of energy. So obviously they need a lot of glucose. And this is where the diet comes in. Because a keto diet supplies the body with only a small amount of carbohydrates, cells quickly run out of glucose to produce energy and have to switch strategy. Now, cells can actually also produce energy using ketone bodies. Ketone bodies are produced by the liver when it breaks down fats. This way, a cell can take one ketone body and produce 22 ATP energy molecules. Not as efficient as using glucose, but it's still a pretty good deal. This switch can be made easily by healthy cells, but it cannot be made by cancer cells. Cancer cells are limited to using glucose to produce energy. So once the small amount of glucose has been utilized, cancer cells cannot continue to produce energy. Now, cancer cells actually have very, very high requirements for energy because they reproduce so quickly. So starving them effectively gets them to stop growing and start dying off. So this is where the keto diet for our dogs really shines. It is biologically appropriate and it's a laser sharp tool in the fight against cancer. Now, I really want to stress this point, especially if you're still feeding a commercial diet. You might be thinking, but Nicole, my dog doesn't have cancer. That's great, but we know that kibble is very high in carbohydrates. We know that this is not appropriate for dogs, and should your dog develop some cancer cells, they would be feasting on all of that carbohydrates and they would start reproducing, which is something that we definitely want to avoid. Quick reminder, if you learned something and like this kind of video, go ahead and give us a like and consider subscribing to our channel. And if you're transitioning to a raw diet, or if you're already feeding your dog a raw diet and you just want to make sure it's balanced, keep in mind that I offer free 20-minute strategy sessions to pet owners just like you. You can book it directly on Facebook and on Instagram. All right, let's see how to formulate a keto diet for your dog. So we know that a keto diet is high in fat, but what does that mean in practical terms? How does your dog diet need to change for it to be keto? So if you're already feeding a raw diet, what you need to do is you need to make sure that your dog's diet is 15% fat. This can be as simple as feeding 80-20 beef, or it might mean having to add a little bit of fat. Now, Iberia here is sensitive to beef, so I don't usually feed beef to my animals. She eats duck, rabbit, and lamb. Now, lamb is about 12% fat. That means that I need to add 3% to her diet. She eats around 200 grams or 7 ounces of food a day. I need to take then 3% of those 200 grams, which is equal to about 6 grams, or in ounces, I need to take about 3% of those 7 ounces, which is 0.2 ounces of fat, and I need to add this amount to her bowl. If you want to find out what you need to do for your dog, just take whatever food they're eating in a day and multiply it by 0.03. And this is the exact amount you need to add to her meal every day. When choosing what kind of fat to add, make sure you stay away from processed fat. Go with unprocessed animal fat. You can find butcher scraps at your local butcher, or you can buy animal fat from a trusted online supplier. I buy lamb fat for Iberia and for my cats that I mix into their diet. You can also add oils if you want to, but I prefer not to, and I prefer to stick with unprocessed animal fat because I like to keep my animals' diet as natural as possible. As you can tell, I am really passionate about giving my animals the healthiest diet possible. If you are as well, then stay tuned for our next video where we'll talk about the raw food diet for dog, also called the barf diet. I really enjoy talking to you. Say hello to your animals for me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.